On this episode of Your Big Brothers, we talk about the importance of direct communication and how to answer the question, "So, what are we?" when a female asks. Check it out. Yo, you're watching another episode of Your Big Brothers with me, Glenn Lawrence, and the one and only dating coach in Philly, the Hudsman. What up, dude?
What's going on, man? I'm excited to talk about this. What's the topic for today? Isn't it handling the "what are we" question that women love to drop on men?
You know what?
After a period of time?
Just women though. Like we
Men do it too.
Correct. We gotta be honest here. It's not just women as to, so what are we? It's the guys that do the I was kind of wondering, what is this? What do you want to call us? I'm just trying to figure it out because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
guys do the same thing too.
They're so guilty of doing that because they want to have the security of that this girl is locked down strictly for him. And it can really shoot yourself in the foot. And I think that's why it's very important to talk about it, because otherwise you may find yourself in the same situation.
See, I don't know. I think this is a really easy answer to this problem. All right. You ready for it? If you don't know what you are, then you guys are nothing until she's the one that approaches you and asks you what you are. Okay? Because here's the reason. Here we go. Ladies are the gatekeepers to sex on average. For the majority of the time, women are the gatekeepers of sex. Now, there is a way that men end up becoming the gatekeepers of sex, but that's a whole nother topic. And I really, although I really would love to get into that with you guys are not ready for that one yet. That one's a little deep. But like I said, regularly women are the gatekeepers of sex. So she can shut off sexual access to you, and that's her power. But you, sir, are the gatekeepers to a relationship. All right. You determine whether or not this is a relationship or not. Now, it's important to know that although you determine what it is or not, you don't say, "Oh, we're in a relationship" yet until she vets herself through you and that you know that she's committed to you. So if you have to ask her what you are, then you are obviously not in the position to make that call on the relationship. So therefore, if for a guy to ask a girl, "What are we?" you are basically telling everybody that you are not in control of the determination if this is a relationship or not. You're deferring the power to her to make, the title of what you guys are. So until she asks you fellas what you are in a relationship, until she approaches you, in your mind, you guys are just good booty call friends that hang out a lot. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's an absolutely fantastic point. And I think that one of the things to dive into here is, how do you handle that question? Let's say, for instance, instead of you asking it, because that's kind of what you were focusing on to begin with, is, don't ask that question. You want her to ask the question. So how do you handle it when it comes the other way? And I think that's a really important one. If she's the one asking you that question and you're not sure yet, you want to be deflecting it in the same way that she deflects things.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
I would push back on that.
I don't
think deflection. I disagree. I think being completely transparent in certain things is very good. So it's like if she asks you,
but that's what I'm saying. Let me just pause you for a second.
You said deflect. Deflecting means throwing off or just kind of misdirecting something. Let's say a girl asks me "What are we?" Maybe I have not vetted her thoroughly yet. Maybe, I have not got to the point of vetting her to where I feel confident enough that, this is someone that I wanted to be in a relationship with, right? I'm uncertain. and she asked me, what are we? I'm gonna be like, you know what? We are what we are when we're together. And, we're still figuring things out, like
Yeah.
I'm not in a rush to get into a relationship. I don't want to get into a relationship too quickly and just, without properly getting to know you better, So, I mean, if you need us to have a title right now, well, then obviously I can't be your boyfriend or anything. I could be your friend then, but if you want to just kind of see where this goes, then let's just continue doing what we're doing. And then we'll make that decision. I'll let you know when we get there.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's exactly what I was about to get into. Is essentially by saying, you know, I like things to grow organically, and that's
That's what women
essentially
say though, like, because that's such a cop out though. Like that, to just say, like when you say like you like how, don't say girl things. Just be like, look, I haven't vetted you. You can even say like, look, we have not gone through enough shit yet to let me know that I want to be committed to you. Like you could be direct with them. I think the more direct, like say, hey, look, we haven't even experienced enough time together for me to feel secure enough to call us a relationship.
Mm.
Because if you say, I want things to grow organically, that's what chicks say when they're trying to like string on guys. They're like, why do we got to put a title on it? Like, don't you just enjoy hanging out with us? Don't you enjoy the time we spend together? Why do we got to put a name on it? That's like that's exactly what they say. Like, this is it. Let's let it grow organically. Like, no. When the girl asks you, be definitive. Hey, look, you know what? Honestly, I enjoy the time that we had together. I'm just not at the point yet where I feel that I could put a title on what we are. Although we're headed in that direction, I'm just not there yet.
We can differ on this. I think we're saying the same thing. It's just the approach you want to make.
But see, that's why I'm like, okay, here we go. Why the approach? Why do you want to do it the approach that you suggest? Because I want to understand, like, because the way I did it is very direct. Is there's no nuance, there's no misleading. There's no way she could think that it's something else that it's not. So, can you explain yours part?
Absolutely. Because women don't necessarily work well when it comes to direct communication. They communicate very much indirectly, covertly, and you're using the same communication style against them. And it's not meant to be a battle of the sexes. However, you want to communicate in a way that they understand. So instead of being direct and being a little bit more indirect, they can actually understand it better. Does that make sense?
I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, I think women definitely communicate more covertly than men do.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Here's an example. The most things the guys complain about when it comes to women is that they feel like they're sending miscommunications. Like have you ever gotten an argument with a girl where she said that she said something, but what she actually said was not exactly what she said, but
Yeah.
she meant it that way, right? Because they don't communicate directly. You end up in an argument. Okay. So by you choosing to communicate the way they do, which is not as direct, then they could come back at you and say, well, you're not communicating correctly. You weren't as clear as you could have been. So that's why I say, like, look, be as clear as possible when you're in this instance, because here's the thing, you're messing with people's emotions at this point. If you're very direct, although it may sting at first, like, oh, he doesn't know if he wants to be with me or not. Okay. But at least you're honest with her and very clear. She could grasp that. Okay, we still need some time together. He wants to spend more time with me. He enjoys the path that we're going on. We're just not there yet. That's cool. And that at least she knows what's going on. But if let's see how it goes. She could be implying, may take that as, oh, we're together. He just doesn't want to make it Facebook official yet. But you may not have any intentions on being committed to her. But you say, let's see how things go. It could be very misleading. So that's why I say be very clear from the jump.
Yeah, I'll there's a couple different ways you can handle it, but I will agree with you. I actually had my girl say today, what's crazy about you is that no matter what, you were always 100% direct. And she actually went back on some statements that she had made previously because I was so direct and she had the time to think about it. So I understand what you're saying. I think when you're starting a relationship, it's also a little bit different because you're still learning the other person. However, being upfront and direct is absolutely the most important way to be. And if you know what, if she ends up deciding, you know what, I don't want to be in a relationship then. I don't want to keep doing this, then so be it. She's not on Team Glenn. She's not on Team Huds. And that it is what it is. There's nothing else to say about it.
Yeah, and the key thing is there, like being direct, like you know that you're taking a risk at losing her. Because you could be
Mm-hmm.
direct and say, you know what, I don't think that we have had enough time together, or I haven't vetted you properly yet. You don't say the word vetted, but we haven't spent enough time together for me to make things official to that degree. If she doesn't like that and she decides like, okay, she's leaving you. Well, guess what? That's a good signal because that tells you that she is not the one, period. If she can't take the criticism of you being honest and you telling her this is where we're at, the way I see it, this is where we're at. We're not there yet. And she gets offended by that and decides to leave you. Well, that just shows you that if you don't say things to please her, if you say anything to upset her, she's gonna leave you. You know what I'm saying? Like she's gonna get upset and go somewhere else. So why would you want to deal with a woman like that down the road?
Right. That's such a great point. You are dealing with it up front instead of waiting for an explosion down the road.
And
It's
the only
great.
guys and this is why I push back on what your statement was, because what tends to be the case is the guys that typically say that have a scarcity mindset. Because they're not sure if they want to commit yet, but they also are too afraid to say something that may offend her to let her go. So they like, oh, I really want to hold on to her, but I'm not sure yet. But I don't want to say, you know what I'm saying? Like they want to have her close by, but they don't want to commit yet because they're not certain. But by saying things directly, they know or they feel like that she's going to leave them. So they don't want to say anything like that. So they want to use very soft, cuddly words to make them feel good, and in that case, in that process, you could be misleading them. Although your intentions are to lay them down gently, you could be misleading them, which could cause you more problems or her more heartache down the road. And in any regards, any type of relationship you're getting in with anybody, you don't want to come in there bringing pain or bringing problems. So if being direct is the best way to do it, then that's what you should do. I think every guy needs to practice being direct with their women. Now, you could articulate your delivery better. You don't have to articulate your delivery like I do, but make sure that anything you say to them is very clear and concise and cannot be misread for anything else.
I think that's what I was trying to communicate when I was talking about it, is when you're communicating and saying, I want this to develop organically. I want this to develop over time. Essentially what you are saying is, I'm not ready yet. And that's almost like talking in womanese. I understand you're saying it's like indirect, but at the same time, it is conveying the same message where you are being direct, saying, we are not in a relationship yet. Don't take it so seriously. So there is a fine balance between the two that I think needs to be understood. And
Oh
that
yeah,
only comes from
absolutely.
experience.
Absolutely. I just think that the main parts of it you shouldn't have to be able to read into it to understand it. Everything else like if you're not ready to commit, to say let's see where things go organically, is very vague and very open to misinterpretations. But if
Sure.
you're like, you know what, I do like what we have going on, I'm just not ready to commit yet. I just don't think we have spent enough time. So you know what, if I would love to continue what we're doing. I'm enjoying it. Are you enjoying it? Good, great. We're enjoying it. So let's continue doing what we're doing. And when we get to that place, I will let you know.
Right.
Like be clear. But
And
be like,
that's fair. I think that those are some pieces that I was missing in, the initial presentation, but that's exactly what I agree with. That's exactly how you should handle it.
so let's recap then real quick.
Absolutely.
Okay, first of all, guys, never, absolutely never ask a girl, what are we? All right. One, you're indicating that you are more invested in this relationship than her. That means you're displaying to her that she has the leverage over you. Okay? So never ask her what you are until she asks you what you are. Assume you guys are just fuck buddies. All right? Good. That's number 1. Number 2, when she does ask you what we are, be very clear and precise in your communication to her. Now, you do not have to say things as bluntly as like, bitch, we just met. What the fuck you think we are? Like, no, you don't got to be like that. But you could imply that, you know what, you still want to take time to develop this relationship with her before you are ready to put a title on such things, you know? So if that's where you're at, if you are at a place where you want to be in a relationship with her, you could always make it some joke. Be like, what are you talking about, bitch? I thought you been my girlfriend. You know, something stupid like that to make her laugh, you laugh, whatever the case is. But it's your delivery. Make sure that your delivery is clear with your intentions without any room for misinterpretation. Because women tend to communicate, again, that we said, very covertly and very, they're not as direct as men. And because of that, people get confused. So, for as you being a guy, you need to bring no confusion to the scenario because she's going to bring enough. Don't worry, she will.
No, that's good, man. I completely agree with you. I think that's a great summary of what we were talking about. You just need to make sure that, yeah, you need to practice some direct communication. Don't lead people on. That's just a really kind of filthy thing to do because then you're wasting your time, you're wasting her time, and it comes with pain, and it's just not worth it. And I've found that being direct with people ends up being the best relationships, love wise, business wise, relationship wise, anything wise, always happens to be the best. So that's a very important thing to note from this conversation.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
one more point, like just tell you what you're saying is that, but you are right in understanding. I don't want guys to think that they should not understand the way women communicate. Okay, just
Mm-hmm.
because when you communicate with her, you're going to communicate very clearly and directly, does not mean that you do not need to learn how women communicate because you have to
Mm-hmm.
be an interpreter. Okay, you have to learn how to interpret what women say. If you only try to communicate the way she does and not take the time to understand the way she communicates, then you are going to miss a lot of cues and a lot of things in translation. All right, because again, we said women communicate more covertly than guys do. They're not very blunt and straightforward as guys are. Guys will say something and that's what they want. You know what I mean? Like women will say something, but they may actually mean something else. So you have to be well knowledgeable of how women communicate. But when you communicate with her, you're leading her, you're showing her how communication with you ought to be. So if you
Yeah.
want direct communication, you want clear and concise communication, you must set the standard and communicate that to her by the way that you demonstrate your communication.
Yes. Lead by example. In the same way that we've talked about before. A lot
You're
of us
talking
have
about
a
the medium is the message then.
exactly.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's what you mean. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because I was trying to say what I was trying to, I was kind of lost there. But yeah, the medium is the message. And that's an article that Rollo wrote on his blog. It's titled The Medium is the Message. And basically what it means is like, look, and you know what? And here's the thing. It's not just women. So don't just take this advice and apply it to women. It will work with women, but this goes for everybody, you guys. Watch people say and then watch to see if their actions are congruent to what they say. Their actions, again, you guys all heard this, actions speak louder than words. So just
Mhm.
because a woman says she loves you, but if she's not showing you any actions that display love, then you need to question what she's saying. You have to always take what people say for a grain of salt and wait till their actions just confirm what they say, is what you're meaning, right?
Yeah, that's essentially what I was getting at.
Yeah, no, that article that he wrote, that was so eye-opening to me. Like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, actually, I have it saved on my computer. Like, it's one of my tabs on my computer. Like on the screen, that's I clicked it. I've read it like probably 100 times. It is so mind blowing.
Yeah, no, it's very important, and it really it comes all down to being direct and understanding people. So it's absolutely fantastic. If you guys have not read through some of the blog posts, I know you may have read some of the books out there, the Rational Male or the Rational Male series. Definitely go ahead and take a look at his blog itself, because his blog is another wealth of information on so many different topics.
Yeah, his blog actually sometimes goes a little bit more in depth on certain topics than his book. Although he uses his blog to source for most of his book, but man, like the blog is where it's at. I mean, I love his books. Don't get me wrong. I have all of them, but I probably frequent the blog more than anything else. But with that being said, Huds, you want to close this out?
Sure. This was absolutely fantastic. I love having these types of conversations because it's very good to understand how to communicate between man and woman, especially when it comes to relationships and especially as relationships are continuing forward. Because every guy gets that question, what are we? And then a lot of guys also ask the same question, what are we? And it's important to understand why that question exists and how to handle it. So until next time. Looking forward to it. Peace.